The city of Denver has started a licensing and inspection program for landlords that will take money out of their pockets and put it into the pockets of private inspectors. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and actually I have two articles for you today, and they're going over licensing and inspection programs, right? So basically the city of Denver has passed a licensing and inspection program for landlords, and all landlords must be licensed within the city limits by January 1st of 2023. Unfortunately, right now, the majority of landlords are not license, because in order to get that license you have to get an inspection, and rather than having city inspectors doing these inspections, they actually have private inspectors doing them. So basically what they're doing is they're making landlords get these inspections, right? And they have to pay private inspectors. So these private inspectors, they are basically being incentivized for, failing landlords or nitpicking, etc., because they get paid. They want to, get all the business, and they will get all the business because of this ridiculous city policy. So this is a cash grab. This is a cash grab, for, these inspection companies and these inspectors that are favored by the city, and they're taking money away from landlords. And will this actually cause, them to catch bad landlords and solve the problems that they have in rental housing? No, it won't. Okay, the bad landlords are going to continue to exist. They're going to continue to, get around the rules. They might not even register their properties or, get their properties inspected because they just don't care. And that's what the second article I'm going to be going over is about. Okay, it's about the city up in, I believe it's Lansing, Michigan, and basically they already have an inspection and licensing program up there, and they're finding, hey, it isn't actually working to weed out these bad landlords. Oh, what a shocking surprise. Anyway, before I get into the articles, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think, okay? Do you believe, for 1 second, that landlords that are already, overburdened with costs and, bureaucracy from places like Denver, Colorado, do you believe that it's a good idea to throw on top of that, rental inspections, etc., and expect, what do they expect? When the, bureaucracy adds rules that landlords must comply with, prices go up. And Denver is already known as one of the least affordable markets in the entire country. So they're going to have a lot more problems with affordable housing in Denver pretty soon. Not only that, but will this actually solve the problem of those, bad apples, that 1% of landlords who aren't doing things according to the law? I don't think so. I don't think that those bad apples are going to be swayed by any law, okay? They are going to continue to do things wrong. And the 99% of landlords who are already doing things right, they're going to suffer because, like I said, we're going to have these inspectors nitpicking. They're going to be nitpicking about little tiny, you failed inspection and you don't have a city license because your paint was peeling on the back of your house. And I'm like, hey, man, nobody looks at the back of the house, okay? And that doesn't hurt the conditions the tenants are living in. Nope, you need to paint your whole house now. Spend thousands of dollars getting your whole place painted. See, this is my gripe with these inspection programs. Making it even worse is the fact that these are private inspectors. But let's get into this article, and it's got a lot more details, okay? So the first article I have today is coming from thedenverchannel.com, and it says, less than 1% of Denver multi-unit rental properties are licensed before January 1st deadline to legally rent out units. All right, let's get into it. The largest expansion of business licensing in Denver's history will take effect in less than 5 months. By January 1st, 2023, all multi-unit rental properties in Denver will need to acquire a residential rental license to legally rent out a unit, according to Denver Department of Excise and Licenses spokesman Eric Escudero. Escudero says the goal of the new license is to enforce minimum required housing standards to ensure public health, safety, and welfare. So yeah, I don't know how it was enforced before, but it's funny that it took all the way till 2022 before they thought that this was an issue. Well, the thing is that a licensing and inspection program is not needed, okay? All that's needed is, if the tenant makes a complaint about the landlord, because there's already laws on the books that say, hey, you got to keep your property up to this standard, you have to have, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, etc. The place has to be safe. There's already laws on the books that say all of this. All the licensing and inspection program is going to do is create more bureaucracy, more paperwork, more expense for the landlords, and that will cause rents to increase. That will cause less people to want to do business as landlords within the city limits. So that will mean, if less people are landlords, there's going to be a shortage, even greater shortage than there already is. Prices go up. Okay, pretty simple. But what else did it say here? It said, January 1st, 2023, all multi-unit properties. So, I didn't look further into this, so I'm just going to assume that it's everything duplex and up. So single family rentals are the only ones that don't have to comply with this. So even a small landlord who owns one duplex will have to jump through these hoops, okay? That's ridiculous in my opinion. If you're a slumlord, things are about to get tough for you in Denver, Escudero said. We see instances far too often of black mold, of pests, of carbon monoxide poisoning, things that could impact someone's longevity or their life. For the first time ever, the city is going to have a licensing tool to hold people accountable. Well, the funny thing is there were already tools in place that hold landlords accountable, okay? If there was black mold in a unit, the tenant could already call a city inspector to come in, inspect the property, and then get the landlord to fix it. And the worst thing is, we see instances far too often. What does that mean? I mean, there are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of rental units within the city of Denver. Okay, so hundreds of thousands of rental units, and what do you see, like 50 cases a year of black mold? What does that tell you right there? That less than 1% of all landlords are not doing things the way they're supposed to. And yeah, sometimes good landlords, they do have issues that do need to be resolved, right? But what I'm asking is that landlords be allowed to resolve those issues between them and the tenant, and the city not become involved. Because now we're going to be put into a situation where the city is in the middle of, everything. And, that just creates more issues, more expense, and more trouble. Okay? Any property that rents out multiple units at one address will need to apply for the license by January 1st, including apartments, row houses, and condos. Properties older than 4 years old will need to undergo a health and safety inspection prior to applying for the license. So yeah, properties older than 4 years old. That's pretty much every property, okay? Unless you're brand new construction, okay? I mean, even when we're talking about real estate, properties that are, even within 20 years old are still considered relatively new. But according to them, they need to be inspected as though they are the same as that house built in 1880. Okay, whatever. But, I'm frustrated because, these sort of laws, they pass them even in places like Omaha, and I just don't like them, okay? I think that most landlords are doing exactly what they want to do. They don't want their tenants to die of carbon monoxide poisoning or deal with black mold. But do issues occur? Yes, sometimes. I actually had black mold in one of my houses, okay? And I had to spend $1,000 to get it cleaned up. It wasn't that expensive, really, right? But, you ask yourself, well, how did the black mold get in there? Well, there was a sewer backup, right? And I had to get all the water damage, in the unfinished basement area. I had to get all the water drained out, everything dried up. And unfortunately, black mold got in underneath in some areas. And so I just paid to have it cleaned up. But, I didn't need an inspector to come in and tell me, well, you need to fix this immediately. No, I just did it on my own. I'm a good landlord. And that's what 99% of landlords are. They're good. They want to fix their properties. They want to keep them in good shape. They want to have their tenants living in healthy conditions because that's how we get paid. Okay? So this nonsense about like there being so many bad landlords is ridiculous. So, let's see what else it says here. So it says right now, they've only issued 100 licenses, and they say that there's 28,000 properties that need one by January 1st. So, another thing that, is absolutely crazy is the fact that, hey, a lot of landlords, especially small ones, they don't even know about these new laws passing. So they're not going to go get a license. They're not trying to break the law. They're not trying to do anything. But hey, it's not like, there was a big bulletin out there that said, hey, you must register your property now. No, these people might have been landlords for 10, 20 years, have tenants in there. They just are collecting rent every month, doing repairs as needed. They don't know about every new law change that the city is coming up with every, 6 months. Okay. So that's the way a lot of small mom and pop landlords work. Unfortunately, they're going to get caught up in this mess of inspections and licensing and fines from the city. But, I want to really talk about this second article. And the second article I have, it explains a little bit better, about why these inspection and licensing laws, they just don't work. So it's coming from the LansingCityPulse.com, and it says, uninspected rentals, a thorny problem for Lansing. And I'm just going to skip down to the parts that are important because, it's got a lot of, stuff in here that, kind of paints landlords with a bad image. But let me get to the parts that are important. And it kind of explains why these city licensing and inspection laws don't work. So it says here, Brian McGrain, the city's director of the Planning and Economic Development, which oversees code compliance operations, acknowledged Monday that his office had effed up on the follow-through with Fady's uninspected and uncertified properties. When each expired, the office should have automatically generated notifications to Fady to pay his inspection fees and get in line for certification. In response to questions, McGrain said those letters were going out Monday. So yeah, in this story, this landlord had these properties that were unlicensed and uninspected, right? And the bureaucracy was supposed to send out renewals, and they did not, okay? And unfortunately, a toddler died in the home due to, I believe it was issue with the smoke alarms. And, it's a sad situation, right? But like I said, if a landlord, is not a good landlord, they're not going to comply with the licensing and inspection anyway. So, this is ridiculous. And let me go down a little bit further because they go into another little interesting fact here. So it says, city officials were unaware of the ownership changes because the current property database does not flag them. That is just one of a series of obstacles the city faces in a series of significant obstacles in cracking down on rogue illegal rentals. Another is sheer numbers. McGrain estimated there are 5,000 rental properties thought to be illegal, which is nearly 10% of the 53,000 to 55,000 rental properties estimated to be rentals. On top of that, the city's housing is aging, making it more difficult to keep properties up to date with new rental requirements. The biggest issue, McGrain said, is finding those illegal rentals. Most of our tips come from neighbors, but we also monitor places like Zillow. Our inspectors who are identifying properties with other violations are also finding unregistered rental properties. And so, they go into more of the obstacles. So, basically, they don't even know the properties that aren't registered, that are rentals, they don't even know what they are. They don't even know where they are. And it's not like they're going out and trying to find them. So until they actually get a complaint about them, guess what? They just kind of just remain in this weird limbo. And there's thousands of them. And Lansing is not as big as Denver. So Denver's going to face this exact same issue where there's thousands of unregistered rental properties that they don't know anything about, that aren't licensed, etc., right? And that's where these bad landlords are going to be. They're going to be in these unregistered, unlicensed, not following the rules category, okay? And they only have so many code compliance inspectors, so they don't actually have enough time to actually inspect all the properties. And that's something that, like they were saying in the other article, only 1% of the rental properties in Denver that have to comply with this law have even gotten licensed yet. So, like I said, these programs, because of the limitations of the bureaucracy, because of the fact that, the bad landlords just don't care, they don't actually stop slumlords and slums from existing. The only thing they do is they punish the good landlords with ridiculous rules and regulations and inspections and, drive up the cost of rental housing for tenants.